Well, I'm doing carrots today, and the reason I'm doing carrots is because I realized I only had 3 or 4 jars left on my food storage shelves, and I wanted to get some more carrots on there. And of course, I haven't grown any, so I just went down to our bulk supply store, and I got a 10-pound bag of carrots that I'll just whip up really quickly and have something on my storage shelves. So I'm going to save you the hassle, I guess, of watching me wash them, peel them, and slice them, and then rewash them. But so that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to I'm going to peel them, cut the ends off, and then I'm going to get my slicer and slice them so all the sizes are uniform. And then I'm going to put them in one of these containers. I like these containers. I get those at the restaurant supply store. And the reason I like to do that is because when this fills up in here with the water, I'm soaking it in cold water, I can tell exactly how many jars I need, because this one will go up to 12 quarts. So this is probably going to be about maybe 8 or 10 quarts, but I'm going to do some pints. But that way, once it's sliced in here, I'll know exactly what size jars and how many to get. So I will come back when that is done. Okay, I've got all the carrots washed, and what I did was I washed them, and then I cut the ends off, and then I peeled them, and I put them in this container, and then I washed them again, and then I sliced them all up, and I had them floating in water, and then I rinsed that water 2 times, so that's maybe a little bit of overkill, but at least that way it also gets some of the orange coloring out of the water, so they just look nicer in the jars. Anyway, I wanted to point out I'm using this book today for this recipe. It's the USDA Complete Guide to Home Canning, and I like this book particularly for new canners or something because it's very, very good. In the beginning, the whole thing is divided into colored sections, and you can see how it goes from blue to yellow, red, and on. And the blue section is completely about the principles of canning. It's got all about the high acid and low acid foods and the different types of canning. It goes on and talks about altitude, which is ever so important when you're setting your pressure canner, and the different methods. It talks about pressure canning and boil water canning and how to properly do those things. So that's kind of nice. Also, each section, like the yellow section is your fruit section. You can see a little fruit in the jar. And then you go on to the red section, which is tomatoes. And that's all different kind of recipes for tomatoes. And then we're in the green section today because we're doing vegetables. We're doing carrots. Got that marked. But then there's also the section for, the orange section is your meats and seafoods. And then in the back here, the kind of a maroon looking section is all about how to do pickles, fermented foods and pickled vegetables. And another thing I like about this book is that if you are watching this on YouTube, you've got some access to the internet. And I will put the link below, but if you just type in USDA Complete Guide to Home Canning, there will be a link there that you can download this entire book as a PDF. You can download it in each chapter. I've downloaded it and I have it on my Kindle app so that I can look at it from my phone or I can look at it anywhere. And the reason that's good is because if there's something on sale at the store, I can look and see if I'm going to have time to take care of that today, or if I see something on sale, like say apples and pears are on sale, I can quickly pull up the recipe and see what else I might need at the store that I don't have at home. So I like having this, and it's free, so why not? You really don't have an excuse to say, hey, I don't have access to an approved recipe book for my canning. And I will always use an approved recipe, and all the people that I subscribe to use approved recipes, or they make it very clear that the recipe they're using at that time is not an approved recipe. So it's really important to be safe with your canning and get a good book. And this one's free, and I will put the link below. So anyway, now what I'm going to do with these carrots, you can see how it says 8 quarts, but of course I'm considering for the water there. And I like to do my things in pints. So I went out and just got a dozen pints out of my jar storage, and I've got those all washed and ready to go. And these are going to go into water, and I'm going to boil them for 5 minutes. And then I'm going to put a little bit of salt in each jar. It says you can put up to a teaspoon, but I'm just putting a half a teaspoon because it's not necessary. It's if you prefer to, and I like to. It just kind of enhances the flavor. So I'm going to put these in a pot, and I'm going to bring them to a boil, let them boil for 5 minutes, and then I'll show you. I'll come back when we put them in the jars, and then we'll put them in the pressure canner, and we'll can pints for 25 minutes. Quarts would go for 30, but I'm not doing them that big because I'm usually only using one of my jars to make a meal for 2 people. So there you go. I'll be back. Okay, so there's my carrots, and they boiled for 5 minutes, and that's because I'm hot packing them. The reason you do that is it helps to eliminate some of the air that's actually in the vegetable so that it won't float as badly in the jar when you're done. So I'm going to try to scoot this over so you can see a little bit better. Maybe there. I wonder if I can zoom up a little. There we go. Got a new camera I'm so excited about. Alright, so I'm going to pop this on there. Use my little strainer. I'm going to fill this up. And we're going to fill it to, oh, got too much in there. That's alright. About 1 inch to the top of the jar. Put a couple more of these in there. And now, I'm going to fill it with boiling water. Ooh, that's hot. There we go. And take the air out like this. Make sure all of those things can be covered with the water. And, oh, I forgot my salt. I'll have to toss some of that in there. There we go. A little bit more water. My little half a spoon of salt. Put that in there. It helps the flavor a little bit. And this I use pickling salt for, just because I prefer to use that when I'm canning. And then I'm going to grab this, wipe the rim of the jar, make sure there's no little bits of food on there, keep it from sealing, and I'm going to use my little tool to seal it. You don't have to, I just do because I like this thing. And I'm going to set it back in the pressure canner, and I think that's an awful pretty jar of carrots. So I'm going to put it back in the pressure canner, and then I'll fill the rest of them, and I'll show you what it's like when we're done. Okay, there they are. I've got 8 pints in there. And they're really nice looking. Anyway, so I'm going to put the lid on my pressure canner, and I'm going to let it vent for, I'm going to come up to where it's venting, and it'll vent for 10 minutes. And then I'll put the weight on, wait for it to come to pressure, and then once it reaches pressure, we're going to time it for 25 minutes. And then let the pressure go down on its own, and then we'll open up and see what they look like. Okay, just a reminder, there you can see it venting, and it's going to vent for 10 minutes. You can see the steam coming out really well. So that goes for 10 minutes, and then you put the weight on and let it come to pressure. And for my altitude, it is 11 pounds of pressure on a dial gauge or 10 pounds on a weighted gauge. And then we'll process for 25 minutes. But I wanted to show you how the steam, the reason you're doing that is it gets rid of the cold air pockets around the jars, and it'll help maintain the temperature properly throughout the canning process. So I just wanted to show you, I've got about a minute, no, about 2.5 minutes left, and it is really steaming. So that's what you want to look for, so that you know you're getting all the pressure out, or the air pockets out of that pressure canner. Look at that. Alrighty, there's 7 half pints of carrots. I wonder if this light will help. Nah, a little bit. Anyway, you can still see them boiling in there, and they sure do look good. But I got 6 in the canner now, and I got 7 that I just took out. And of course, after it reached the proper pressure, I let it go for 25 minutes, and then let it come down to 0 pressure naturally, and set for 2 minutes. Then I opened it and let it set for a little bit, and 10 minutes, and then took them out, and there they are. So I've got 13 half pints of carrots out of a 10-pound bag. Not a bad deal. Thanks for watching.